States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
I'm so thankful for this opportunity to get to meet together here today. Please give us wisdom as we make decisions so that they're happy and also our community.
I call the February 2025 meeting of the Contract County Parks and Recreation Board.
I think we have two sets of minutes to approve today, both the, this has December 19th minutes as well. Do we need to approve those as well, Alyssa? I see there's, I think you do. I think we have, yep, December 19th and January 16th. We can consider those. However, any of you would like to make a motion?
Do you want two motions or one?
Whatever you guys are happy with. It makes me
I'd
no
like to
difference.
move that we approve both minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Minutes are approved.
And I'd also like to say it's really helpful to have them on the table, so there's no question about what minutes we're looking at. Thank you.
So I have signed this set. We can pass those around. Next, John, tell us about this new business.
Good afternoon. I bring good news. In front of you, I've brought pamphlets for my new employer. Last meeting I was here, I wasn't allowed to, I knew about it, but I wasn't allowed to communicate it because the deal wasn't done and they wanted to make sure the deal was done before the word got out. So the deal's been done. Triad was bought by BS Engineering, all assets, and they hired all the employees. And so far we're 3-4 weeks into it. It's been amazing how they're accepting us, and we have so much more services to offer, so many more employees, engineers at my use. So I'm excited about that. How does it affect you guys? BS is doing trails all over the state of Indiana. So we bring that. I think they're also involved with parks and communities all across Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. So it's a big firm. They're going to be celebrating their 45th year here soon. So it's just really exciting and refreshing for me. I think it's a win-win. So you have reading material. It doesn't include Triad. It was just what they had at the time. I wanted to get something in front of you just so you have an understanding what services we will be offering moving forward. So as far as the trail, we have a groundbreaking schedule for March 20th at 4 o'clock. I know Amy's gonna, I think, speak a little bit about that in the press release and all that, but right now the plan is that we all meet down by the bridge at the current trailhead parking area, where Niblock is going to have a piece of equipment, a pile of sand. We're getting the shovels from the chamber for everybody to stick and get a picture. We'll have hard hats for you guys. Everybody who's got a shovel will have a hard hat and a safety vest for the picture, photo op. And then once that's done, we'll move down to the pavilion, take a little walk. We'll have tables, refreshments. VS is buying cookies with your logo on the cookie. It's going to be,
I smell an upcharge.
oh no. No.
I'm looking forward to having a cookie.
I've asked VS to hit a home run here with you guys on this first groundbreaking. So I'm very hopeful that it's going to be a win-win for the Parks Board, VS, everybody involved. So that's really all I have to report at this time. Entertain any questions or comments.
Or, do you have a question? Well, we appreciate you coming
All right.
again today and give us the materials.
Yep. Oh, one last thing.
Yeah.
You received some paperwork from Triad signing our contract over to VS.
Right,
It has to be signed by the president of the commissioners, Kerry.
right.
Can you get that to him?
It's
I
it's
know
in process.
Okay.
I think it's already on one of the commissioners' agendas, is it not? Yeah, so I'll go to that.
Just to button up that loose end. So
Yeah.
moving forward, you'll get a bill from VS
Right,
versus Triad.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
before Amy comes up, and this relates to the groundbreaking, and I don't know how much, I didn't look to see who all was included on this email. I gotten a request for a quote about the opening, which I provided, but then, we got a question back from Katie at Kedco about what is the name of the new trail? And we had never really discussed what was the name of the new trail for her to put in, the press release. I think the trail that exists is the Lake City Greenway out to that, is it not?
So it's called the Lake City Greenway to the Chinworth
Right.
Bridge, from what I can tell on signage from
Correct.
20 years ago. In our trails master plan that we've approved the draft of, it's called Chinworth Trail.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I have my own viewpoint on trails changing every time, changing names every time somebody else does something. I don't know if anybody's got any hard viewpoints, but I think we ought to continue Lake City Greenway. And we certainly haven't bought any signs or anything at this point in time that we couldn't change the name of it.
I don't have any problem with that.
Does anybody, and a lot of locals here, what do you guys think? Anybody have any objections just continuing?
I mean, I think, that's kind of, I don't want to be too reactive without thinking about it. It makes sense on kind of the first blush and the lakes, because when you go into Winona Lake, I think it's also labeled the Lake City Greenway, but it's the Heritage Trail also.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but there are signs that say the Lake City Greenway. And so I do agree completely. I don't want to, have a trail name change every
Yeah.
2 miles.
Craig, do you guys consider yourselves part of the Lake City Greenway or?
Yes, we do. I know this has come up in ride walk and stuff, and I think, we're kind of in a little bit of identity crisis because I think there eventually probably will be a rebranding of maybe that whole system. And part of this, comes along with what you guys are doing, but we've also, worked with MACOG, for their regional plan. I think it's called Crossroads or
Crossways, I think,
Crossways
Crossways Trail.
or
Yeah.
so, like there would be Crossways, it's a regional park, and then everybody would have their little section, so Crossways, and then under that Lake City Greenway, but that could also change because that goes back before we had what we have now. And then, like you said, we did name our section Heritage Trail, and I do think there's some issues there with the Crossroads then, I mean, not Crossroads, but Chinworth. And I think the Chinworth part comes from the Chinworth Bridge.
Right.
So that it's still considered Lake City Greenway. And a lot of the old Lake City Greenway signs, and we redone them, look better than maybe to change the logo of that to match something more Kazi House.
Yeah. So I know one thing we've talked about, Craig, is actually maybe having like a blue line that runs east-west. And who cares what the name is? Just get on the blue line and do a countywide, you can rebranding, maybe K21 would be able to help us with new signage and stuff. And then who cares what the names are?
I think just based on this, my immediate kind of thought, then now processed it for 30 seconds, is let's go ahead and name it Lake City Greenway, knowing that there could be changes.
Right.
And honestly, if Ride Walk's considering it, for what they're responsible for, we probably need to meet more with Ride Walk for this bigger discussion, right?
Right.
It
Because
is something that we could, like, if you want to meet at the Chinworth Trailhead or something, it could be like a trailhead that's part of.
Trailhead could be a separate
It
name.
could
Yeah,
be.
so it could be the
That's a good
trailhead, it could
idea.
be like Chinworth Trailhead.
It could be the Chinworth Trailhead part of the Lake City Greenway.
Yeah. And I think for now, let's not introduce a different name, knowing that That's my recommendation. Let's not introduce anything different, knowing that there's, even all of this is still under discussion.
I would agree with that, but just because everything that you guys have done, you've advertised it as the Chinworth. You know, everything's been Chinworth, and then if you call it something else, then maybe people will wonder.
Oh, I thought Mike was saying call it Lake City.
No, I think
Greenway.
we call it, well, it's an extension of the Lake City Greenway, so it's part of that system. But I do like the idea of, we'll reference it as the Chinworth.
Right, but you
Trailhead.
said to wait.
Yeah.
Right? Is that
Wait
what,
to go to a third option, I guess. So,
well,
Okay.
that's just my idea. With everything being called Chinworth all this time and the funding and everything, it's all been for Chinworth. And then if you change it, then I don't know if people
Yeah, I
will.
think-
Yeah, let's just leave it for.
Yeah.
today.
yeah, so if we
Okay.
talk about this, it's an extension of the Lake City Greenway. The
Right.
project is the Chinworth extension. And then when we get to some point of labeling things, we'll have a consistent name.
But I hear what everybody's saying, and I think in terms of the press release that's going out, if we call it Chinworth, everybody knows exactly where we're at, and what
Yeah.
we're talking about. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure, you're next on the agenda anyway, might as well come on up.
Well, it depends on what's being printed on the cookies.
Yeah, so I had sent that this morning to you gentlemen just to look at. And so, and then I believe Rob, Katie had sent some follow-up questions. I actually read all the documents for the Blue Way Greenway plan. That's a lot of information. Took me 4 hours to read all of that
The
yesterday.
whole master plan?
The whole master plan and the design guidelines. Oh my
Excellent.
goodness. So, it's a lot,
Let
but
us
it's
know
good
what we missed.
information. But
Let us know what we missed.
I made my notes, don't you worry. So as the press release stands, it says help and the Kosciuszko County Parks Board, is it department or board?
It's Parks and Recreation Board is the official name.
Recreation. You said board?
Yes.
Okay. And then invite community members for groundbreaking. So one of the questions was the term Old Chinworth Bridge is what shows up on the actual GPS. When you look at that, is that what the bridge is called? And then the trail is just Chinworth Bridge Trail? So all of these things are coming to your plate.
Right.
They're all clarifications because this will be official record at like some point next week. And so I know it's probably a lot to try to think through as you're trying to navigate it, but
So the current Lake City Greenway ends at the Chinworth Bridge, which is
Okay.
the old bridge.
yes.
Our extension starts where that ends and then goes 8/10 of a mile.
So then to call it the Chinworth Bridge Trail Extension in the press release is what you're hoping to call it. Is that all the conversation that just happened? Is that what we're hoping?
I really don't want to
Based on
overthink
what-
this.
Based on what Alyssa said and just trying to make sure we're clear, because the hardest part, and she's not wrong, and this is
Yeah.
you haven't finished the Blue Way Greenway plan quite yet.
Right.
And so that you're making decisions, it's like making decisions on my house.
Right.
When the house is not done and I'm trying to figure out what the whole thing is going to look like. So it's hard, I know, but
Well, even more, we may rename everything as part of this
Mhm.
rebranding. So-
That's why I don't want to overthink this
And
too
I
much.
think, I'm kind of with Alyssa on this, is that calling it right now the Chinworth Bridge Trail Extension probably would be the safest because that's what it's been called all along through the help process. It is actually from the Chinworth Bridge. Then in essence, you could do like another press release when you want to like name the whole thing, the Lake City Greenway. I mean,
Yeah, I think by the time we start spending money on labeling and all.
Yeah.
and
because at
that's
that
fine.
point, I feel like the design guidelines, you're still trying to figure out what that looks like.
Right.
I'd hate for you to pinpoint yourself into something. And it really truly has been called for funding purposes, the Chinworth Bridge Trail Extension. So you could probably be fair just to get away with that and not have to worry about naming the whole thing yet. Because you have,
I think I agree for continuity and what people have heard, just keep it the same. I can't imagine we're beholden to keep using this name indefinitely.
no, because you could do a
from
separate press
calling
release
it that
that
today.
basically
Yeah.
says at a different time, now the design guidelines are done and this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
So it's just bringing people on a journey. Right now, you're extending a trail that was related
Anybody
to a
have any
bridge.
objection?
No.
Yeah.
It occurred to me to call it anything different than what we've been referring to it up to. So,
You said this is simple, right?
And other than written, I'm not sure how this would be used, but even leaving out the word bridge would be fine with me.
Yeah, I like Chenworth extension. That's pretty simple,
Because we're not extending a bridge.
right?
So if we
And
just. call it
technically, there's
Chenworth
not a
extension.
Chenworth trail, so.
Yeah,
Again, I mean.
Yeah, I just don't know how it would be
Well, I-
used. If we're building a sign, you want it shorter.
But we're not doing that yet, so I'm
Yeah.
fine with the current language.
So the Chenworth Bridge Trail extension, because it's extending from the bridge, is that what we're saying?
Nobody's objecting to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
no.
okay.
Let's just go with it and then. we'll
And then,
figure out
and then you
the-
can rename it at a later point when you
Yeah.
have the design guidelines done and all of that. Two other questions real quick, and this is just to understand, Katie was gonna put some language, how long will the extension be? And is there a 0.8 miles? And is there a projected end time as far as the completion date?
I'm gonna guess,
Labor Day?
sure sooner,
It's better to be,
So to be honest, Amy, it completely depended upon how dry the spring is, because their start date is dependent upon when they can get in.
Should we just call it
depending upon weather, we'll just add
Yeah,
that.
or-
It's always better to,
early summer even?
Summer.
we'll put early summer just to be safe. The other thing that she found, Katie is she is amazing. She found some research, that the Kosciuszko County Historical Society owns the property, is that
Correct. They own the bridge property.
Okay, she wondered if they should be included in this somehow.
Yes.
So as far as
Yeah.
just sharing that they
The
own.
trailhead is on their property.
Yeah,
Okay, so.
the
maybe-
groundbreaking is on their property. They should probably be invited.
Okay,
Has anyone talked with them?
No, they've changed leadership. And I'm not sure who it is, but I know Greg Steffi, I think has,
Is anybody
Step back.
here a member of the Historical Society?
oh, yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you can,
Okay. Yeah, because it's mentioned right now, it just says the old Chenworth Bridge is on the National Registry of Historic Places and the property now belongs to the Kosciuszko County Historical Society. So it just basically produces a shout out for the Historical Society. But
Right.
then,
Rob, I would be happy to try to talk with leadership of the Historical Society to help them feel like they're a partner in this and
Okay.
not just,
specifically
That we
because you're
decided
hosting
to
a
do
large
something
event
with
on
the
their
land.
property, it might be nice to.
And here's the other thing. We're starting on their property, so we need permission from them to begin
yeah.
construction.
And we've said if you needed us to reach out to them, we would,
Yeah.
but we haven't been asked.
well,
I
Greg
didn't know if
Steffi,
I-
who was
Niblock
the
did.
previous leader, was fully on board, but he stepped back and I don't know the new person.
I'm sorry, I was under the impression that, Rob, you were gonna talk to somebody at a.
Well, again,
we
Greg
talked about
Steffi
it?
was the previous leader of the Historical
Okay.
Society. He and I had talked a couple of times, and there was no issue
Okay.
there, but I hadn't even thought about the fact that now that their leadership has changed.
You want me to
No, I
make
think,
contact or?
I mean, you mentioned you go for it, right?
Yeah, I'm happy to go for it. And John, I will let you know if
I'd-
we need to involve.
If you need me to
involve you.
participate in that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would gladly do
Yeah.
that, so.
Yeah, Katie's question to me was, does the Historical Society know that there's an event happening at their facility? And I said, actually, I don't know the answer to that question. And it might be nice to have that answer before we release the press release, just so that whoever is on current leadership for the Historical Society doesn't see this. And then
What's your timeline on the release?
our hope had been to do it by I believe, end of next week. Is that what we spoke about? Yeah, we were hoping to do it just so that there would be at
Next
least
week.
3 weeks. That's what Katie suggests is a good time frame for people to see it. So we have to get it to the press and then they have to work it through their process. But we were doing the draft, bringing it to you guys today just so you could see it, provide any clarity needed, and then go back to the drawing board, change it, and then hope to release that. What date is it? So by the end of next week, I think is what we had hoped for,
Okay.
just so we could give adequate time to get it into all of the places. So
And if
So they have a
you need hand,
website.
Let me know.
I will.
I mean, the county.
it's all the
job,
little
time
stuff. The
job
devil's
would
in
be
the
a great-
details, I tell you.
Don't know who.
Yeah,
KosciuszkoHistory.com.
great.
That's their website.
Okay.
Yeah, because the other
Yeah.
question that Katie had was, would it be appropriate to add a section in which they had a small speaking part. Do we think that they would want to do that?
I don't know.
It's a good question. I mean, I think because it is a part of their property, it might be nice to offer them, and I can update the agenda or the itinerary based on that. That's not going into the press release, but just to offer them the opportunity and, you know, give them that. The other question I had, one other thing, the Blue Wave Greenway plan and the design guidelines, will that be done by March 20th and adopted, or is that something, I'm trying to keep track of Katie's emails and see.
Yeah. So that's being presented to the zoning authority on the 6th.
March
March
5th or 6th.
5th. And were they were potentially going to approve it at that time, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't formally approved the final.
You have not yet
draft
adopted it, is that
Yeah.
correct?
We have
And-
not. formally
And
adopted
after the plan commission, that's not the final approval, even from us. It would still need to go to the commissioners.
Right.
Okay,
And
so
I
that will not, I
believe
just thought if it
Right.
was actually ready to be released,
it. It is not ready to be
Okay.
released.
so then we will not add that to the mix. We will do that, you know, separately. But I thought if it was ready to be released, it would be nice to have it there because they will also have documents related to talking about the importance of trails, helping the community to understand. That's what the VS marketing team, Jillian, is going to do. She's going to provide a nice board that shows what the property looks like and the extension so people can visualize that, as well as, I think it's a half sheet, she said, of information related to the project and why it's important to do trails. So
Great.
probably stealing some of the language from your plan. But we will not muddy the waters and worry about the Blue Wave Greenway plan. So any other questions that you guys have, or wish list, things that you need cleared? as we're working?
Who's on the invite list to be part of it?
So obviously, it's going to go to the entire county, whoever reads these different entities, because Katie will distribute it to the Times Union, the Ink Free News. I don't remember who's on her distribution list.
Sorry, my question was more kind of so the board will be there.
The board, yeah, the commissioners, elected officials, chamber folks.
Okay.
Lauren said she's going to send it out to her chamber board and ambassadors. So there will be individuals invited. You guys will just want to make sure that you have a list of who you want to have as far as in the picture. So that's something to think about, is as far as the groundbreaking picture, the chamber will be the one taking that, but you just need to determine who it is that you would want to have as far as before we get there, so it's not chaos.
So as you think about that, I think it would certainly be appropriate to invite both Warsaw and Winona Lake, since we connect to them through this trail.
Yeah, and I believe that, are you on the distribution list, Craig, for Kedco Media? Yeah, because it'll go out through that's who does our marketing for us with the press releases and
So
such.
that was related to that. Can we have some signage, or should we have some signage to say, you know, like the trail, like the, you know, we need something just for that photo op. It'd be nice to have like a sign or something that like kind of shows that Parks Board or.
So what I think that Jillian is doing is, I believe she's having a board and she's going to have logos. So if there's specific logos that you prefer to have on that, and I think I connected Rob, you maybe?
The logos I sent for the parks.
Yeah, for the
And
Parks
that
Board. But if there's any
incorporates-
other partnerships that you want to show, the HELP logo will be on there because that's where the funding comes from. Part of it, but anybody else that you would like, Julian's going to be working on that from VS. So they are paying for those marketing, like the phone board. So if there's any specific language or logos, something that you need her to identify, I would let her know that.
Who did you say?
Julian, what's her last name? I know it's Julian and Julia. That's your marketing. Yeah, Jillian, and then there's a Julia as well. So they're
Can you
two.
share their contact?
I did. I think, yeah, I believe I sent an
Do you have
email.
Maycog on there?
Maycog will receive this as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you said Warsaw, Winona Lake, which I think is appropriate, but I'm wondering if the Ride Walk Committee is
Oh,
even
yeah,
more
Ride Walk.
appropriate.
Yeah, so we will
Because they
distribute
represent
it.
both
So
those
anybody
communities.
can be welcome. We'll distribute it to,
Well, I'm even thinking the Ride Walk,
Logos.
we even
Yeah.
want the logo on
Okay.
what they're doing.
so if you want to just kind of think through that and then just send an email. I believe I had put you on an email with Julian and Julia. Not to be confusing, Julian and Julia. It was either Rob or Mike. I can't remember, or maybe it was both of you. Because they had a question related to any specific language that you had wanted to have on that specific marketing half sheet.
And you said there's gonna be a phone board? With,
So they'll have a phone board, and I believe what I understand Julian to say is that it's gonna have the logos, whatever logos that you feel need to be on there, as well as a visual representation of what the extension is gonna look like. Since we won't have that done, it will be what that proposed project.
Similar to what we did at Crazy Egg. Remember when we laid out its color of the trail?
And then she'll have half sheets with
I don't
information
seem to have it.
related to the trail and history
find it.
and
I can't find it.
the importance of parks and trails. That's another section that's gonna be on there. So that we can get that.
So we're talking about different lists, and mostly it's to have people know about the groundbreaking, potentially to come. I would also hope, I'm thinking of 3 lists. One is the steering committee
Oh,
for the
yeah.
Parks Master Plan. Number 2 is the steering committee for the Trails Master Plan.
And probably what I will
And number
do,
3 is
Yeah.
the community living in the area.
yes, so they will go, generally what we do for the press release is we send it to the media. And then whoever the entity is that is associated with the project, we send that to them and then allow them to distribute it to whoever. So it will be a press release talking about it, and you can distribute it. I'll distribute it to all of the help folks and the communities, the small communities, and then I will also send it to you guys. And so you are welcome to forward that to whoever it is that you would like to personally invite. So it'll be a broad plethora of people that it will be sent to from just the normal distribution channels. And then if you want to drill that down, then you can send it
So
to.
I have the lists and the email addresses for at least the neighbors that attended the event in early August, the information meeting. I don't have it for everyone invited. But we don't have, as parks, a distribution channel
Oh, from a personal, the Parks Board email or,
Well,
unless it went out, Rob, over Park Board.
I can certainly give you passwords for the Parks Board now.
Okay, and then we could send it out that way.
because I think it would be
Okay.
nice to have a personal invitation from the Parks Board, just as this is a fun first project for you guys to celebrate. And that's what Carrie reminded me is,
Mhm.
you know, this is a celebration of something that you guys can hang your hat on and the feather in your cap. So we want to make sure that it's, that though this is funding from the HELP program, that it's the Parks Board that's identified as that key partner, because this is a way that you guys can have that street cred and project execution to show Kosciuszko County that you guys have one project that's under your belt and more to come, and have the opportunity to share that vision with the community, just to help them to understand the importance of trails and parks. So, but Rob, if you don't find that email with the girls on it, just let me
I
know.
did not.
You did not? Okay.
Not at least on my phone.
Okay.
Might
I
have better
will,
look at my desktop.
yep, I will resend that. So-
Yeah, I didn't see it either, so.
And then I can connect you guys, and then they would just need to know the logos that you need and any specific language that you prefer to avoid or that you would like to have related to any flyer that they put together.
Quick question, with all this discussion we just had, do we have a head count? Because that's gonna factor in with beverages and cookies.
Okay.
I'm thinking 100?
We usually shoot for
10?
50, but
Okay.
yeah.
I
we
think the
we
neighbors
usually
are gonna
do
take all
50.
that's left home, aren't you, with the cookies?
You heard everything we just heard, John, so your guess is as good as
I
ours.
I know.
I just see
I
this
mean, when you.
invite,
I think we
1,000
shot for
people show up, I'm like,
50
oh.
yesterday, right?
We're gonna need a food truck from you guys.
We can do I think shot for 50 for Sydney, but obviously that's a different type of project. So I don't know if we should shoot for 100 for this. That'd be a lot of coffee and cookies that would be extra. Generally, what I've seen is that a lot of folks don't partake in, you hate to not have enough food, but then you also don't want a million extra things. So
It's a Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock, so probably gonna
Yeah.
be super well attended. I would not.
yeah.
I mean, I
so
think it's mainly gonna be
just the individuals that are
the
interested.
parks, you know, the commissioners, the people who are there to break ground.
Yeah.
Right.
You're gonna get my experience with the chamber, we're gonna get like 5 or 6 of their ambassadors there,
Yeah,
maybe up to 10, and then you're probably gonna have 6 or 7 neighbors.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be my rough estimate, just based on similar things.
of the experience. So I think
So I have no
50
idea what that
probably
just
would
added
make
up to, but
I mean, 50 just
50
seems
would-
always
50 seems
fair.
like good coverage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you guys can take them home and share them with your neighbors and, you know.
Well, I'm gonna keep it
Because
forever.
DS is paying for that, the
have to freeze
coffee.
that cookie.
So are there any other wish lists, concerns, questions, things?
Amy,
an
you've been doing
exciting
a
moment.
fantastic job putting this all together for us. I
Well,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, it's fun. This is the fun stuff. You know, we work hard every day. It feels like a grind to get it done, but it's nice to be able to have a moment of celebration for you guys and be able to do something that's, you know, to finish something.
Right.
well. So, but let me know about the Historical Society related to that if I need to add them to the agenda, and I'll resend that email. We'll just keep plugging away. And hopefully it doesn't snow on the 20th. We need to, I did. You gotta set it up for Mother Nature.
Okay. I know we had some internal business we wanted to take care of. We did talk about some things that, quite honestly, I haven't gotten done over the past month. We need to work on and probably just get some volunteers to do stuff. The Friends of the Trails program.
What did you want to talk about?
Well, let me get through it. We also need, I still think we need to do the Trail Summit idea that we can get Winona Lake and Warsaw and Syracuse, Wawasee together. Talk about, if we're gonna do a rebranding, talk about a master set of trail rules so that it doesn't make any difference which trail you're on in Kosciuszko County. Here's the rules, what's an e-bike, what's not an e-bike, what the expectations are.
That's probably a good idea, just because I think a lot of individual conversations are happening. But get the whole groups together, especially, you know, Syracuse Wawasee Trails has a new executive director, and I don't know if any of us have met that
Right.
individual yet either.
I'd like to share with them the design guidelines that we put together, because we certainly like them to consider adopting our trail guidelines. Obviously, that's up to them. They're their own authority, but that would all be part of the Trail Summit. So those are two pretty big calls. Does anybody have anything else that way before we start talking about who's going to do what or how we divide it up in that
I think it's
fashion?
a good idea.
Just for March 5th, Plan Commission.
Okay.
And did we want to do annual updates to council and
We do,
commissioners?
we should. Let's you and I talk about that. We'll let everybody else know, but we promised them we'd go annually, and it's time for an annual update. I apologize for not being able at the March 5th. I had said I would be there, but I knew all along I had another meeting, and they've now greatly increased who's coming to that meeting. And I sort of need to look here personally now. So I think we've all been there before.
So,
Teams is no longer appropriate.
so, our Trails Master Plan will go before the Plan Commission on Wednesday, March the 5th. I understand the meeting is at 1 o'clock. It's in this room. And I'm able to be here. I'm able to attend, but if anybody else could come, that would be great.
If I'm in town and available, I'll be happy to, but there's a chance I'll be
Okay.
out of town for an extended period coming up.
I'm currently double booked already, but I
Okay.
mean, it's possible, hey,
Both
if
will
I need
disappear.
to be, I can try to cancel those.
Yeah, that's Ash Wednesday. I'll come. Mark it on my calendar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
It's easy enough. I will be your silent confidant. How's that?
We'll see what questions they ask and how silent you'll be able to be.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll mark
Thank
it
you.
on my calendar.
Oh, you know, Amy, we did not hear from Heath yet. I know, and we sort of, so I am skipping around, but I'm like, oh gosh, we have a guest here who
Yes.
wanted to speak that we,
That's,
oh, whenever
Every-
somebody says that,
Yeah.
you know it's gonna muddy the waters.
I was gonna say, whenever Amy says that, you know,
Which I'm fine. I was just asking Mark Marcia. So, and I'm, like I said, I'm trying to pay attention to what you're doing, but on the Blueway Greenway plan, that's what you have with the area plan, correct?
Correct.
Okay. There are a couple things that I wasn't sure if we meant to do when I was looking at this yesterday. Do we need Dan Feistrup, which I had asked Katie about that.
Can you say it again?
Dan Feistrup from Northwestern.
To come to what?
To be on the planning committee. Do we want him identified on this document as a
He
planning?
should be invited. He's been part of the steering committees. He's from Northwestern.
Yeah.
Is he missing from the
He is
document?
missing, and I told Katie that
Yep.
last time. I didn't, and this is just me trying to be sure that we're
Right.
keeping everyone
Oh, that's
fair,
good.
because
Yeah.
if we have you were talking about the Syracuse North Webster trails, and we don't have Dan on here, it may have just been an oversight. I asked Katie last time, and so before it is put into official,
That's a good catch.
approval, I
Mhm.
thought that maybe Dan should be on there just to be fair.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if
He
there was
must
a
be
reason
missing
why
from
he
the
was not on there.
They're certainly an important partner, especially as
Yes.
as they look at building north to the middle school and Syracuse looks at building south to the middle school.
And it's very important to remember those things. In my
Yeah.
mind, I'm thinking if he were to see this document and he wasn't identified as one of the partners, I wouldn't want him to
You
feel that
follow.
he was excluded.
Can you check, are you checking on that with Katie or?
I can double check on that, but I don't have the information right in front of me.
Okay, and the other thing, and whether this is, I don't believe Atwood's actually incorporated, whether that matters or not. Atwood incorporated, Melissa.
Marcia?
I mean,
No?
I don't think so. Marcia and I
The
were just talking.
newspaper knows. They know everything.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like whether that matters or not, it might be like irrelevant information.
I don't know if you've ever looked at the statutes on town sizes and city sizes and corporations and non-incorporations.
Yeah.
It's stupid complex in the statutes.
Yeah, because it's,
They exist. We're going to deal with them.
yeah, so I just didn't know if that mattered or not. I knew we were supposed to get edits in, and I wasn't sure if it was for this and the design guideline, but when I was sitting here, I realized that you were talking about it already going through the process, and I had found those two things yesterday. Well, I'd found them last time too, but wanted to say that out loud. If it mattered, it may not matter, but the
And-
Dan part I felt like probably mattered because
Yeah.
he is going to be a viable partner, and having him on that planning.
You know, if I'm not mistaken,
Reached out to him to participate on the steering committee, and he was
Yeah.
unable to before the time.
Okay, so that's why he may have not been on here, because he wasn't actually able to attend.
That's correct.
Okay,
that was the 5-year
That's
master
correct.
plan.
That's correct.
And we did have Amanda from Syracuse.
and she is
Wawasee
on there, yeah,
Trails.
Syracuse, well, I just wasn't
And
sure.
She is gone.
She is gone,
Right.
so
But
it's
she
just the
was-
small stuff that's relationship stuff that can get a little bit
Right.
Yeah.
tricky.
I just don't think that Dan wrote to, I don't think he was on this one, but I can go back to my notes. I'm looking at Mike because he and I invited everybody.
But
Yeah,
And I made a list of who we
And Dan's
invited.
been to a lot of our stuff and we've talked to him a lot, but was he actually part of the committees? I don't recall.
And there were all kinds of folks that are really important to this.
I know,
Trails
that's the
Master
hardest part,
Plan.
is there's so many people, you don't want to, it's hard to pick and choose and who was that. And so I just wanted to say that out loud
No,
in case it got
But
overlooked.
what I wanted
Oh.
to say, Amy, is there are many people who were interviewed and we were honoring their time by not necessarily asking them to all sit on the planning committee, but made sure that they were engaged in the process.
Okay. Perfect.
As
Yeah.
we look at logos and things, primary logo placement has to be for one of the primaries, has to be Winona Lake because they paid for part of the engineering study.
Yeah.
So make
Please
sure
don't
that,
mention.
that Winona Lake gets prime square footage, if you would.
So that was just a question.
What's that?
I'll send an emoji.
Oh, we'll make an emoji of you.
I'm sure there's a couple that work already.
Mike does great with AI pictures. You're gonna love yourself.
Awesome.
Where the Wikipedia is unincorporated.
I looked it up on Wikipedia as well, but I didn't know if that was actually important information or if we actually cared. It's not factual, but it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, right? It's not like it's a document that it's.
Yeah.
You know,
And, you know, another
Probably
thing,
doesn't
since we're
change it
talking
standing.
about this end of the
Probably doesn't
report,
change its
is the
standing.
commissioners have There's been a change and the officers and the commissioners have changed. So what was in the latest draft we got, dated February, was already out of date.
And I don't know how that works in terms of who you put in based on what happens. That would be for people above our pay grade to
It's-
say
it's
which
whatever
commissioners
date's
go
on
on.
I would think it's reflect when it's approved.
I would assume it would be the original team
Really?
members. So if Dan was not a part of that original team, if he just was a complimentary contributor that took, surveys and stuff, but Dan is always everywhere, so I just noticed that and I thought I would say it just in case.
But that also means it'd be last year's commissioners.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Keith.
Yeah.
So, this is Keith Roberts. He is the town board president of Epic Green and is looking at extending trails. I wanted to come and speak to you guys about this.
Yeah, I'm Heath Roberts. I'm the president of the Etna Green Town Council.
Are you incorporated?
No, I am not incorporated. Now, my business is an LLC, but I don't think the town is incorporated. I've been doing this for a year now, as far as that. So this would be, I've got my first year in and trying to learn everything and stuff. It was brought to my attention that this money was just sitting for this park, as far as for the K-21 Foundation. So I've spent the past 2 months designing this, having my engineer at my shop take and draw this up or whatever. I've already gotten quotes on the main loop and the straight section. Just this week, I added the next section because it's in the budget.
Can you
As far as-
give us a reference of where this is?
Yeah, we don't know what we're looking
Yeah.
at
This
there.
is the Heritage Park, which is on the south side of Etna Green.
I have. It's got a wonderful cafe. So,
Ooh,
so when I
yes.
see the main road at the top of that picture, is
Yes.
that Old 30?
No, Old 30
Okay.
is not in the picture.
Got it.
As far as
Is
that.
that further north then?
Yes, it's.
Like a
further
block
north.
or two or
If
so?
if you come into town where the mural's at, into the center of Etna Green, you go past the town building, you go past Fast Times Fabrication, which is my business. Keep going straight, you go down there to the second stop sign, and you hang a right, and that's where the park is at down there,
Okay.
as far as that.
No, thank you.
So,
I know where Fast Times Fabrication is.
So
Okay,
is
okay.
that a paved path then?
This is gonna be an 8-foot paved path as far as that goes. I already got quotes from Finn and Brown and, Niblock as far as that goes. Cause I do a lot of fabrication with steel and design work and stuff like that, but I don't mess with asphalt and aggregate and stuff like that. So I wanted to get sort of a base and I wanted to figure out what can we afford, you know what I mean, within this grant as far as that goes. The quotes came back and so I added a little section, the little T section that's at the bottom right there as far as that, which will provide handicap accessibility to that park pavilion, which we rent out for people's stuff. And then it ties in the parking lot to the walking trail. So if we have people coming over to use our trail system, they can park in the parking lot. They'll have 2 different ways to get to the main loop, which are actually, like I said, they're going to be 8 foot wide too. And everything that I've learned about this as far as what it's for, and it's for activities and to be healthy, you know, just like what you guys are doing with park stuff here and everything. I know that, like I said, I can get this part done under budget. I have another grant that was brought to my attention that is going to run out in either June or July, which is $18,000. But that grant has to be spent with this one. So I really have to get this project going so that I can get that other one allocated to this. And I know there's a lot of, you know, people are wanting activities and workout stations and stuff like that for people to do along this. I don't think that is going to happen in this part right now because I think we're going to run out of money as far as that. But my hope is that we get this walking trail done and we get people more involved and that we start looking at other grants to start adding the other additions to our trail system. As far as that, I know the original one that was proposed 5 years ago was through the town and through people's yards and this and that. And I've tried to downscale this to what we can afford with this grant as far as that goes, and make it a community thing. I mean, that street has no sidewalk for one, as far as that goes. So that opens up that too. And the same thing, bringing people out to all of our activities. That main loop does have, you probably don't see it in the picture, that's where our football field is at. So that's something that that Huffman there in Etna Green, he takes care of that as far as the football program and stuff. So, and I've already talked to him and made sure that this isn't going to interfere with that. I've got a lot of people wanting a pickleball court and lots of other things, but I just wanted to like come up here today and sort of present that to you guys. And then I want to move forward with getting all my permits and everything that I need to do so that we can break ground on our project.
All right. How long is it?
Last time I calculated it, it was just under a half a mile with the addition to that. And if we utilize, the sidewalk part, you know, which is already there, like I said, the new system's all going to be 8 foot. I'm pretty sure we're going to be over half a mile because I know that that was one of the stipulations that they wanted to see in the walking trails was, you know, at least like half a mile or whatever. So cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What can we do, if anything, to help you?
I don't know. Amy's been helping me a lot as far as that. I know that there might be some other grants out there and stuff. I've been looking at exercise equipment and I've been looking at stuff to like try and park benches and stuff like that. And that stuff's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as, you know, $1,000 for a park, just a little park bench. It's like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? As far as that goes. I
You
mean,
could fab that easy.
I am a fab guy as far as that. I am donating all this time, as far as all this design time. I mean, I know a lot of times this stuff gets sent out to firms to design and stuff like that.
Like John.
I just took in, I went up, sorry, but I went up to the park and I just started walking it. You know, I had it in my head what I wanted to do. So I went up and I walked it out, made sure there was nothing in the way. Trees weren't going to be in the way. You know what I mean? As far as that stuff. I started sketching it out as far as on like Google Earth. Commonwealth got me the start as far as the Google Earth. And my guy at the shop, I do AutoCAD and so does Kenny that works for me. That's a little bit of a struggle when you start mixing, you know, mechanical with that stuff as far as that. But we've gotten it as far as that. And yeah, I'm looking for anybody's help as far as to move forward and do something with it. I know this money's been sitting for 5 years and that's not good when you get a grant. And I'm working towards a lot of other grants in the town of Etna Green. We've got sewer problems. We've got, you know, water problems. All towns.
That's John's Baylor.
Oh, yeah, all towns have these problems as far as that, but I'm working to address the stuff that, you know, I walked into, you know what I mean?
Yep.
As far as now I'm the, you know, the president of the town council and, you know, I know how to run a business. I've been doing it for 18 years, but now I would walk in and see all the politics that are involved in just a little bitty town. It's like, you know, we got to get this stuff fixed and we got to do the right thing for the people. So
That's great. Do you have bathrooms at this location?
there are that T that is in there that ties in the community building
Okay.
and the regular building. There are bathrooms in there, but they're not open to the public except for certain occasions.
Got it.
So that is something that, yeah, we don't have public restrooms all the time, but like when we have the 4th of July stuff or when they have, you know, receptions and stuff, that door is open for that stuff. And that's sort of why I wanted to put that little, tie that sort of into the loop so that if we have special occasions up there or, you know, or big gatherings and stuff, or even, you know, like you guys, you know, Winona does with the bicycles. And I'm hoping to get into stuff like that too with Etna Green as far as that we open up, you know what I mean, to more stuff coming into the community. And making it there for people. So
I'm just thinking very long-term, right? Once we start having these greenways, could be a great location if you had recreational cyclists coming through camping, right? That there'd be bathrooms or something available, kind of go off the greenway into town, into Etna Green, be able to get food, those type of things. So nothing immediate on that. But
yeah,
just-
well, I'm trying to work within the budget that's there as
Yeah.
far as that goes. And so that we can get it started. I just don't want to brush under the table. I know that just being new to this or whatever, that, I mean, if you get a grant and you don't do anything with it, well, you're probably not going to get another one. You know what I mean? So I want to like really get on this and get it moving, improve that Etna Green is changing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make changes in town as far as that goes for the better, you know, the people and everyone involved in all the other communities also. So.
One of the questions that came up at the last town board meeting is, so they have these two funding sources that have been given to them that they haven't expended, but then I would be on a committee for Ori.
Mhm.
to assist with those expenditures. And so we looked at Etna Green, and Leesburg was supposed to be here today. I'm not sure what happened to Christina, but she did not make it. But I will be beginning to discuss third funding for Etna Green and then part first funding for some of these other projects. Wanted to really understand from a perspective of the projects that they're doing internally, how that impacts what you guys are doing. If there's something that you would like to communicate as we're looking at these projects for the quality of life in place for the small communities. And so specifically, if Etna Green looks at a third phase, I know one of you, I don't know if it was Mike or somebody, had mentioned, be nice if Etna Green had a trail that connected to another site. So, you know, looking at what that, being intentional with the ORI funding in each of these communities, if it's able to be used effectively to help build out your plan, or if you had even thought about that as of yet, because that's going to be on the horizon. So I think, you know, these are coming faster than probably things you haven't had a chance to think about. But I know I've received the request to be on the committee, so we'll be discussing those projects coming up soon. So
You know,
something to think through and to help, as I'm meeting with these different communities, the will of the County Parks Board to assist as we're choosing additional projects for submission to the rate. That would be helpful for me, and specifically Etna Green as we're looking at third phase.
Well, Amy, as you know, our sort of mission is to connect communities as much as possible. But I think at a base, that's part of why we did the design stuff, so that if you build a trail system that maybe we connect to, we're all building to the same methodology. If we can get there, we can connect, and it's all built the same. And if you looked at it, you know, the depth of the asphalt and the underlayment and all that kind of
Right.
stuff.
There's a lot there.
Super critical.
Yeah, yeah. as far as
And all
that.
that stuff. So that would be, other than that, we've always sort of said as a board, we're going to connect to these communities where they're at. Now, if you come back and say, hey, we're going to do this, where's going to be the most advantageous place to end so you can connect, we'll certainly sit down and look at those things.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're gonna have that opportunity as far as to tie together, as far as that goes. I mean, you might be able to bring it to the outside of Etna Green, and then we have to use Etna Green streets to get there or something like that. I mean, as far as that's part of what I didn't want to do, is I didn't want to start getting into people's yards. I didn't want to get into what I've heard about is going on in Pearston, you know what I mean? Arguments going on with this. I just wanted it to be somewhere everybody, you know, it's a park for everyone.
Right.
As far as that goes. And we do have sidewalks in town as far as that. So our sidewalk system does tie into this park as far as that.
Right.
That's why the straight section on that part there ties into our sidewalk system. The part I just added this week ties into the exact same sidewalk. And that's a whole parking section there. So that, because what we're going to have during football season is a parking problem down there, because people are used to parking in the grass, and I'm going to have a walkway there now. And we can't park on top of that because we might have people coming every day to do their afternoon walk and stuff like that.
Right.
So like I said, I've already reached out to Jeff as far as that goes up at Huffman that does the football gut stuff. And we've talked about the parking and stuff like that, and everything. So, and like you guys did say, I am a fabricator. I could be building some of this stuff, but,
I was joking
well,
about
here
that.
I'm going to get, the city of Warsaw does have an account with Fast Times Fabrication, has for 18 years. And I used to do stuff for the Parks Department here in Warsaw when people knew of that. I still do stuff for, you know, wastewater, the city, you know, Warsaw and stuff. So that's always an opportunity for you guys too. Because I'm looking at this stuff thinking, man, I could build this stuff cheaper, but I can't get involved in that.
Correct.
You know what I mean? From my aspect. But in the future, when we come into some of these projects, there's a lot of places out there to reach out and have stuff like that
But
done.
just remember, we're Kosciuszko County, not Warsaw.
Okay.
So you'd have to have a contract with Kosciuszko County for us to
right.
be able to use.
So,
Thanks for just hearing that out. And if you think of anything else related to the ORI funding, related to extending the trails and any wishes that you have that you want me to share with that committee, then I'd be happy to.
Thanks, Amy.
Great. Well, I apologize for going squirrel in the middle of our discussion of next steps, but I want to make sure that we heard from Heath. Well, and I, again, apologize for not getting stuff done. Is somebody willing to co-lead with me the trail summit?
The Trail Summit?
Yeah.
When are you thinking to do it? I'll be happy.
Whenever we decide
I'd love to
to
help
do
you.
it. Okay, well, you and I will work on that. And then Aggie, you suggested you might be able to work on Friends of the Trails. Am I putting words in your mouth? Okay.
And do you want me to talk a little bit about Friends now?
Sure. Whatever you think.
So in our original 5-year plan, one of our 8 goals was to start a Friends organization. In the Blue-Way and Greenway Master Plan, draft plan, we've approved the draft. There's a 1-page description of what that Friends organization would be about. And it is initially just getting it started, I believe, under our auspices as our board, and with a focus on volunteerism to help with maintenance, somebody to kind of be like a steward of the trail, perhaps some improvements if needed. But it's not a focus on acquisition of land or on like something real separate. It's more a way for us to take what we've already been working on and engage the community in helping to maintain it. So my suggestion is, since we soon are going to have a brand new trail that we're responsible for, that we start to build out the concept of that Friends organization. And there's 2 parts of this. One would be to put something on writing about what we need. Oh, thank you, because I turned it off. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry that I did that. So my thought is 2 things. One, we build out some, like, what is this? Let's put some definitions on paper. And 2 is we start a fund where donation money could go. Because we're a government entity, we can accept donations and they qualify as charitable donations. I would like to suggest that we set up a fund through the Community Foundation. And I believe we can set it up so that Park Board can manage that. I don't believe it would need to go back to the commissioners, but if I'm wrong about that, and I'd be happy to connect with Marcia again, but my understanding from previous conversations a few months back is we could set up a fund like that at the Community Foundation.
And I think Kerry's sort of indicated he thought that was probably going to be allowable as well.
So if, what I would like to suggest between now and our next meeting is maybe we have a committee of this board that does some work on trying to put together ideas. And because the neighborhood will be focusing on, of course, first is the neighborhood around the Chenworth Bridge. If there's any neighbors that would like to be involved in helping us think this through, I think that'd be wonderful. And I know there's been some hands go up in the past of being willing to work on something like this.
And I know there's certainly been discussion for the sake of you about if there's a point in time where the county takes over the bridge property, does that get built out as the First County Park? And what goes into that land?
Having the entity will help probably
Right.
with that decision, right?
Right.
So.
So I guess the question here would be, would any of you want to join me on a subcommittee to work on this and with a focus on trying to come back next month with something done?
I would love for you to loop me in on it. I have, although I don't have the time to lead it, I've seen this done before. So I'd be happy to be involved with that aspect of it.
I'm kind of in the same boat, like support, but my look at my calendar scares me already. So. But same as Rob. I mean, if I can chip in, I want to help, but not super invested.
I'll help you with it, Aggie.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Unless Troy is dying too.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say that I would be happy to help. I think that we opened up some discussions maybe a year and a half ago, locally about that. So I would view this as just follow-up or continuation of those efforts. So
Yeah.
So you said you want to continue with it?
Yeah.
Then I'll let the two of you,
I
because
think
the
you
three
got
of
your
us
hands
can't be
full
there.
with lots of other things, so
I do, yeah.
have to shoulder some of this
He's
stuff.
retired now. He's got plenty of time.
Thanks for the reminder.
And Steve.
Okay, I
Okay.
think those are the two main things we wanted to sort of get a plan on. You and I can maybe just communicate by email. One of the things I'll probably send out an email to everybody on is trying to make sure we collect all the names that should be included in the Trail Summit. I don't want to, it's the same thing. I don't want to exclude anybody. Certainly we want Heath to be invited. Winona Lake, Syracuse, Wawasee Trails, Winona Lake, Warsaw, both Parks and Planning, I think it needs to be involved. Ride
Ride
Walk.
walk, the Milford, whoever's doing that Milford extension.
The town clerk
Yeah.
there. Christina Archer from Leesburg was supposed to be here today, but she did not make it, so I'm not sure she.
I'll include you, Amy, if you could.
Yeah, and then I can send, because I'm receiving calls, I know we're meeting for Pearson Trail Connection to Winona Lake. To talk about that, so great, got back to that. So the Myra for Glenn probably as well, so there's a few that.
So if that discussion's going on, Craig, we'd like to be involved in that.
With the Pearston? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for all other business to give an update on that.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, since we broached it, go ahead.
So I was gonna, yeah, we had discussed previously that Pearston was very interested in putting a proposal together to connect to Winona Lake, especially with the opportunity perhaps to leverage the ORI funds, if the timing works for that. So we had an initial meeting, and as Amy mentioned, Amy, Craig, and I were there along with Glenn and some others from Pearston to just start discussion. What does this mean? What do they currently have? What are we thinking? And really kind of the start of it was where does it connect to? Where could it? And there's a couple options for that. And a lot of it's really going to come down to land access, right? So there's a proposal directly from Stonehenge where that ends to Winona Lake, to Pearston where their park trails are. But then we discussed some alternate routes if that wasn't going to be viable. So at this point, I think it's Craig is the town engineer, and also Chad, sorry, that also does some planning development, has laid out 3 or 4 options. Just based on our discussion, no idea whether any of those are truly viable at this point yet, but just to get the ball rolling. And then I think who's got the ball right now? Is it?
Chad does. I think the last email I saw was Chad said that he put together, and then when he felt like he had whatever, I think it was cost estimate, right? So I just read it on the fly yesterday. When he was cost estimates, final design, something, and then he would let us know when he was ready to circle back around.
Okay.
And remind me, you guys said Chad is who?
He's the,
Here,
Yeah.
So
With
he,
consultant.
Okay, he's the one we've talked about before then.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
yeah, so he acts as the town engineer for.
Right.
Yeah.
So when there's a project for Pearson, he's the project. He's not on retainer, but he goes project to project. So he's the person that assists them. And then Stephen Moriarty from the highway department was
Yeah.
part of that as well, because part of that will go a large amount of it actually. So looking at bridge projects and different elevations and how that works with making sure.
And it was good too, because he's aware of some vacated roads, and again, we don't know the exact path it could take yet, but just at least starting that discussion.
And there's some housing projects in Pearson as well. that we can
Yeah.
actually associate.
Yep. So that's the update. I think the gating item's going to be for putting this proposal together in a time frame that they can approach ORI as a potential source of funds for it.
Wow, we covered a lot today. Anything else? Oh. Yes, we would.
This is Christina Archer. She is one of the town board members from Leesburg. She has been tasked by the town board to discuss potential trails in Leesburg, looking at using some sidewalks and extending some of the walkability and the research. And so she have been requested to come and share what she is thinking to your team. So,
Great.
to the mic. All right.
Thank you for coming.
Well, yes, thank you for letting me come this afternoon. And of course, in Leesburg, one of the things that we've done recently is completely repair 1 mile of our sidewalk system, which we'd really prefer to call a pathway, a walking pathway, because in Leesburg, there just isn't a convenient place to go walking, and walking in our brick streets may be scenic, but it's not the safest. So what we've really wanted to do is to connect our little historic town with other trail systems that exist in the county to create a better system of both walking paths and maybe biking paths as well. So one of the main routes that people use, especially if they're on the way out to Lake Tippecanoe or maybe the Chapman Lakes or others from Leesburg, is they go right down Prairie Street. And that is the next part of our town, at least, where we would like to widen out sidewalks to create a safe walking, biking pathway. There are other close by sections of the biking trails that come right around Leesburg that we can kind of connect in with. So that's also a plus, I think. And what we'd like eventually to see in the future, although it's a big plan, is to use what used to be the interurban basic railway bed, which most of it is still in existence. A little bit of it has been sloped down as homeowners, property owners, farm owners have made it a little easier to access their properties. But the basic railway bed exists still right parallel with Road 15 from Leesburg, where the interurban station was. Now it's the Freedom Express gas station all the way into Warsaw. So like I say, it would be a fantastic asset, I think, to our community to have that area, which is not quite 4 miles in length, eventually become a really nice hiking, biking, walking trailway that could possibly connect with other trails that already exist here in the Warsaw community. So like I say, I know that in the past, our area of Indiana once had one of the best developed interurban systems anywhere in the country, if not the world. And as people go back to wanting more ecologically friendly ways to get around, there are lots of people that would love to ride their e-bikes or just regular bikes, people who would like to hike and walk. A few people do try to make it by bike or a little scooter back and forth to work from Leesburg to Warsaw every day, but it's anything but safe, especially in the wintertime. And you will see them. There are also a number of Amish people that travel down, and many of them are on bicycles as well. So it's used for more than just recreational use. And at least at the present time, there's no real safe way. You can't take the back way, like we used to call it, and get to Warsaw on county roads. That's probably even more dangerous right now. So having a possibility of being able to plan and perhaps expand this way, I think would be a terrific asset for our whole area, not just the town of Leesburg.
So I was invited by Mitch Rader to come and to present, which I was very pleased, because Leesburg doesn't, they do a really good job of taking care of their own, and they're very efficient and proactive. One of the things that I had communicated to Christina and to the other gentleman was that there was a very large Blueway Greenway plan happening at the moment, and that, Christina should at least make herself known to you guys so that she could open up that communication channel. The board was agreeable, because Leesburg doesn't want to they do not want to miss out on the opportunity to be a part of this. It's just that they are so good at taking care of their own business. They do all the things that, when I said, hey, there's a whole big thing happening, and then their eyes lit up, and Christina was offered to present. So part of today is just to let you know that they exist, that they're ready to be a part of it, and to communicate to them and make sure that that channel of communication is open, so that when we plan their trail that she was talking about, that they will be submitting to ORI for that they know what your wishes are and that you guys can communicate effectively. Is that correct?
Exactly, exactly. So
And she's a
Right.
history
Thank you.
buff. She has got it all under control.
we're really happy in Leesburg because we have been in the process for a little over 2 years now of converting our old town hall building into a Leesburg History Museum. And we're probably going to have everything open before Memorial Day if all goes well. We had to make some changes to the heating and cooling in order to make it work more efficiently, and some other upgrades to the building to make it safe. And like I say, we're really trying to do some things that will make the town a real asset, not just to the community members in Leesburg, but for the rest of the county too. So,
Well,
like
thank
I
you.
say, eager to work with you at the keg or go down to Stubby's.
Thank you.
So
So
much of our
Christina-
downtown is already part of a National Historic District. It has been for, well, close to 30 years now. So it's something special. Anyway, thank you very much. I really appreciate
Well,
your
let me ask you
time.
just a couple quick questions.
Mhm.
If we do the trail summit, are you the person from Leesburg to call if you want to participate?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'll get your email from Amy then.
All right.
And in regard to the interurban, it is sort of our colloquial understanding, we didn't do the research ourselves, that that land is reverted.
Well, at least southwest.
Right.
This is, I don't know if, because you're saying along State Road 15.
Mhm.
So there may still be some right of way access
Are you
there.
Old or new 15?
The new road.
New
Okay.
15, yeah.
We understand, and the right of way there may be very wide. We haven't looked specifically at that. Part of the reason we're doing Chinworth out there is the right of way along Old 30 is very wide. And we had no property acquisition issues.
Part of the road, of course, is parallel to the gravel pits that Fenn and Brown own, and that right of way is pretty wide. And of course, we've been utilizing part of it most recently to put in the K-Connect system. So they've been able to use the good size right of way that's along that side of the road, because we're talking about the east side of the road.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well,
So
good-
anyway, I
good.
can look into it further, but like I say, I'm sure as in most projects, there will be some issues regarding that because like I say, it's broken up into a number of different properties, but
But if the interurban property still exists as a separate entity, we'd have a good shot at trying to get that.
I have a feeling that at least some of it does, particularly on the east side of the road, that
Okay.
there are a number of businesses or large farm areas along there that probably have a fairly wide right of way.
How do we sort that out?
I know there are some people in the community who've done heavy research into the trains. I'm looking at you, Mike, because I know we've talked to someone, at least I think we have.
Well, one in, who's our GIS? Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
Bill
trying-
Holder.
Bill.
We can reach out to Bill Holder. He would probably have a good idea.
Okay, that would be
Yeah, I
terrific.
think that would be the first step.
Yeah.
And even when we look at our Greenway and Blue Ways plan, it's a big wide line going right next to State Road 15. So it's in this
That's a
vision of
little
the
narrow.
plan that's been created, even though we don't know which roads we'd actually take. So that's a piece of it. And then I think our other discussion about having, eventually a linear park around the Tippy River someplace, right, could very well connect into this too. So
Right.
this starts becoming part of our system. So, and everything you said about the vision and need for it, we 100% agree, right? Safe.
Well, that's
The
good to know.
community wants
Right.
to be able to walk safely, commute safely, ride safely. Yeah, so we're on the same page there, and you're hitting our goals of us wanting to connect our communities. So appreciate you coming in.
Well, thank you very much. Yes.
Communicate from the board, and they need to communicate with someone regarding Leesburg.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Hey, can I just make a general comment? I think this is great, right? And I think, we've been doing this a couple years and we're starting to get our plan in place, but now having the representatives from the different communities. So now, Pearston and Etna Green and Leesburg and the other, I think this is critical to our success long-term because it's going to take individuals from each of these towns that are doing this work to also connect with us and talk about their plans and their wishes. So, I know we'll have more of these discussions, but it's been great that we've already gotten this type of response already.
Sure. Yeah.
To remind you, I'm Steve Fagley. I'm one of the residents out west of town in the path of the extension for the Chinworth Trail, or the Greenway. And first of all, thank you for all you're doing. I look forward to getting out on the bike this summer and using that. But as you're promoting this and celebrating this, it's one thing to just say it's an extension of the trail, an 8/10 of a mile to the west. But I think when you look at, and from a resident there, that 8/10 of a mile is giving safe access to the trail system for hundreds of families. Because that whole West Haven Estates community over there, who I've seen walk along the sides of the road, not only will those folks have safe access, but so many other families that haven't gone down the trail system will have safe access. So that's something to celebrate, I think, as well, as you're promoting that to the community, because it's significant. And the other thing I was going to mention is a significant portion of the trail going west goes through the R.R. Donnelly LSC property. And there's a new occupant moving in there, a significant corporate entity from what information we have so far. And just encouragement that if it hasn't been done already, maybe it has, to reach out to that corporation once it's announced, to because there's a significant potential for a corporate pod sponsor or partner, I guess is the best word, to for the trail itself, for the improvements, and for they have thousands of employees that will be using that trail system. That could be a significant thing. So that was just my comment from a resident.
Well, I can tell you, Amy was madly writing as you talked about the first part. That would be, I'm seriously. So I have talked to a few people about that corporation coming in, but my fear is they may not want the trail there, and we need to protect that trail. So I agree with your statement. I'm also concerned if they have a different viewpoint on land use than we currently have, that could be a big issue for us.
It's good to get the dialogue sooner than later, probably.
So that is occurring at a higher level than the Parks Board.
Okay.
Anything else? Well, I sort of echo Mike's statement. Oh, Craig, yeah. For those of you who don't know Craig Albach from Winona Lake, Craig is one of the real people who's kicked off trails in this community with the trails out in Winona Lake. So really, a lot of what we are doing today is thanks to his efforts. So thank you, my friend.
I just, from hearing the things from Leesburg today and Etna Green, I'd echo the comments that this is exciting, and this is what we all envisioned, that would happen once we started to talk about how we could connect. And we've talked a lot about ride walk, and so I just wanted to extend an invitation to Leesburg and Etna Green. We're doing a lot of work. Initially kind of started with Warsaw Winona Lake. In fact, that's the long title of it all, but now it's just kind of ride walk, because what happened as we moved along, we started to bring in other communities. So the Syracuse Trail System, North Webster, Milford. And so I'd extend to you an invitation. We usually meet every third Thursday and, just kind of talk through things, a great networking for all the different trail systems that are going on, and then how we can work with you to kind of connect. And so it was pretty intriguing to me to hear from you, Etna Green. One of the things that we have struggled with a little bit is, one is, we talked about it today, wayfaring and, signage. It sounds like you're a pretty good guy that can make some pretty nice signs. I would imagine if you can make the signs, we can get the graphics. And the other thing that we've struggled with off and on is we initially had bicycle racks, which you'll see in downtown Warsaw, kind of, I don't know what they call, but we had those fabricated in Fort Wayne, North Webster, and they're costly. And it sounds like we could stay here maybe locally and help you and help us, because we've even talked about how we can do more bicycle racks at trailheads, maybe even in Etna Green and other places. So kind of bring you as part of that. And then the big regional player is MACOG, and they provide other opportunities, you know, to work with us. Looks like we might do a demonstration project in what we're calling the cycle track, or we're maybe changing the name to intermodal, but, you know, to help a little bit with that. But also additional resources, like, for instance, this morning, they just mentioned Safe Routes to School, which would provide some dollars to help, you know, especially in connection with schools and things like that. So a lot of resources are out there that maybe we don't even know about, the right committee that can come regionally or even federally and, you know, would help you out and become partners in that in the region, because MACOG is, you know, they work for us and they do a great job. And so that's a great resource, and you're probably already aware of them, but they sit on that committee too, and they're there so we do it virtually or in person. And again, it's a great way to kind of get a feel from what other communities are doing. And I know some of you have been on that committee or on that committee. So just wanted to put that out there, and thank you for what you're doing. This is exciting.
Well, and I was gonna say, it has been exciting to me. We have been charging so hard. We had to get the DNR plan done. And then we immediately got these grant funds, and we wanted to do the trail master plan, which is part of it, that we have not caught our breath at once in the past 2 years we've been around. So today's meeting has been, at least from my standpoint, very, very enjoyable. So thank you all. Is our last call for comments?
I would just say that I unfortunately, I need to be absent in March. I sent an email around earlier, but just for the record.
Okay,
And then Matt had to apologize. He has another meeting he had to leave for, so.
okay. Is there a motion to adjourn then?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.